ready to start? Alrighty, so hi there, my name is Harvey, and the purpose of this presentation is exactly as the title says, to be able to identify an invasive freshwater killer. The reason it's important to be able to identify an invasive species compared to a native game species is to protect your own local freshwater ecosystems. The only two cures for an ecosystem that are invaded by invasive species is action and timing. If you can catch it early enough and figure out that there's an invasive species in there, then you might just have the amount of time you need to be able to save that environment. Alright, so I'm going to start off by doing the key IDs for different game species. So right here we have the largemouth bass. Some key traits to this is, as you can see here, here's the eyeball. His top jaw will extend farther beyond the eye here. On his top dorsal fins, he has a slight arch in between separating the two. And his caudal fin here has an arched V-shape in it, which helps him swim around and be a predatory fish. So as I said again, here you can see a better example of it. The line goes through the middle of the eye, and the front jaw extends beyond it. Here's a better example of the dorsal notch that I was talking about that separates the two dorsal fins. Alright, so as I said, some of the key factors is the top jaw extending past the eye, while the bottom jaw aligns almost with the eye. The front and back dorsal fins are separated by a deep notch, and the caudal fin is triangularly notched. And there's also a dark line running horizontally across the body. So if you go back and look here, here's a better example. But this line right here is a trademark for all largemouth. You'll probably see that on at least all of them. Alright, so any questions on that first fish? Nope. Alright. So the next fish I was going to identify here is a smallmouth bass. This is commonly noticed to have a darker to a tan orange color to it. It's a lot smaller than the largemouth, but they can still get up to the 8-pound range if you have a larger one. The main difference is the color, and also as you can see here, I got a better example on the next slide. Oh, too far. All right, so here. These two dorsal fins, there is no separation between them. They actually run together and they are combined. Also here they have kind of a tiger stripe pattern going through. It's usually a tannish to orange color. Also the top jaw aligns perfectly with the eye. It doesn't go past it. It stays the exact same. Also on the pectoral fin here, you'll have 3 spines, which is a trait of all smallmouth. Oh, it's like spasm. Alright, so those are the key facts for that. Any questions on the smallmouth? They're both pretty easy to understand fish. You've probably seen them before. Now we're going to get into the invasive species. So here is the northern snakehead. This is a big threat to our Virginia freshwater waterways because in the Potomac right now they've been catching a bunch of them, which have been dropped off as pets from different people, just introducing them. But the common IDs for this, if you look at the head right here, it's got the look of a nice snake here. Also, its dorsal fin is a long fin, just one complete. It'll fold down together. This helps them fan out, which helps them get a burst of speed when they're trying to attack. And the pectoral fin is also just one long straight fin, and it's got a very shaped fan caudal tail right here. Also, it's commonly seen with the tiger stripings. This is the northern species. There's also the bullseye snakehead, which has been caught down in Florida, but that's in a different state, so I wasn't too worried about it. So as you can see here, the tiger stripe pattern coming through, really long, thin, snakehead face. And this is the most common native species that people misidentify it with, which is a bowfin. The difference here is the head is a lot more oval shaped, a lot more longer. The pectoral fins down here, it's not just one. This one has 1, 2 here, and then this is actually separated. The picture doesn't show it very well. This fin separates right here. Also, the caudal fin has more of an angle to it. It's not quite so much of a fan tail. Also down here on its pectoral fins, instead of just being one long fin, it has 2 individual fins. Also another fact, these ones do not have teeth. Bowfin have no teeth, compared to snakeheads, which do have teeth, as you'll see here. Snakeheads' teeth, they're quite gruesome. They're made to lacerate and serrate their prey, and they have 2 rows of them per jaw. So some of the key facts of the snakehead, like I said, the head's very angular and it has teeth that look just like a snake, usually curved. Short, long, and flat dorsal fin, which helps it get acceleration in the water. And it also is commonly known by the tiger stripe coloring, and it's usually really dark, which is why they thrive in the Potomac, because it's a darker lake area. So any questions about the snakehead? Okay. So here, this one isn't the most dangerous invasive species. There's actually some projects now that are reintroducing grass carp into ecosystems that have been invaded with a different invasive species called hydrilla, which is a type of grass that grows inside the lake. They've been actually introduced to actually eat it, but they also have no common predators in the ecosystem. So if they go unmanaged and unkept, they can eventually take over the whole ecosystem. So some common traits about them: probably one of the largest fish you'll find in that freshwater ecosystem. They usually get around 40 to 45 pounds. They're really obvious with the dark silver pattern going all the way through. Usually there's not much coloration. Also, the mouth and head are very, very small and compact comparatively to the whole body size. Another identifying factor is that the dorsal fin is actually one tall angular sail. And the caudal fin is deeply, deeply notched. This helps it just cruise around in the bottom. Doesn't have to move too fast, doesn't have to move too slow, just keep a steady pace. Alrighty, so here's a freshly caught example of one. I actually caught this one. But right here, the only coloring you might see inside of them is a little bit of orange right around here during their breeding season, which is also common. But even on this fish right here, this was a 40-pound fish. This head only measured 3 inches long. So you can see how much shorter the face and the head are compared to the body. Alrighty. So the key facts usually found in shallow water feeding on a hydrilla, which is what they're introduced to do. They're a large silverfish with a very short face and streamlined body. It has one tall dorsal fin that looks like a sail on the back of it, and a very angled, deeply cut caudal fin which helps it swim around the bottom and make sure that it's not moving too fast, not moving too slow, keeping a pretty steady pace. Are there any questions about grass carp? No? Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand out a identifying sheet. I want to see if you guys can remember the information I just showed you and see if you can label these fish. Unfortunately, the color was not working in the printer, so we won't be able to use the color exactly, but the other identifying traits should make it so that you'll be able to identify these fish. So as you're looking, try to make sure you remember what factors that I had put out onto the presentation. And then once you get to it, this is the bonus fish that I want to see if you guys can label.
So what do we do when we're done?
When you're done, just hold on to them for a second. I'm just going to wait till everybody's done with them. And then I'm going to ask you to go through it with me and make sure that we labeled it correctly. Alrighty, so how far is everybody getting to?
Can we have like a word bank or something? I forget the name.
Okay, no worries. There's the largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, snakehead, and then on the bottom there's a grass carp. So the grass carp was the last one we introduced.
Okay.
Alrighty. So the first fish on that list was a largemouth bass. You can tell by the dark horizontal line going straight through it and two caudal fins being separated. Then the second fish was a smallmouth. It's a little bit harder to tell because you don't have the color there. But if you look at the fins and the way the mouth lines up with the eye, you should easily be able to identify that. And then the third fish on the back is the northern snakehead. This is one of the invasive species here that's causing a lot of problems in Virginia at the moment. And then the last fish was the grass carp. which is the largest, probably one of the larger fish you're going to find in that ecosystem, which is a bigger identifying factor. And then the bonus fish was this guy right here, the bowfin. He is a native species to the Potomac, and he's the most commonly misidentified species to be compared to the snakehead. Alright, so does anybody have any questions? Alright. Oh.
Where does the snakehead come from?
Where does it come from? It comes from Thailand and Asia. This particular one right here comes from the Mekong River, and it actually invades. So what happened is people started keeping them as pets. They got too big for the aquarium or started eating the other fish, and they thought, oh, I can just release this into the fresh water, and it's going to be fine. But they have no natural predators. All right, any other questions?
Can't they like walk on land or something?
They cannot walk on land. What they can do is they have a artificial lung on the inside, sort of. What it allows them to do is take oxygen from the air. They can't actually like walk. They can more like flap around on the ground.
Okay.
But this trait helps them for if they're in shallow water where there's not a huge dissolved oxygen level. They can actually take air from the surface, which allows them to actually colonize areas that usually wouldn't be colonized by other fish. Any other questions?
By colonize, you mean lay the eggs?
I mean, they are able to come in, kill out the species that's been there before, and colonize themselves. So yes, lay eggs, and then just breed and eat throughout there. So a big place in like the Mekong River, there's a big shallow area where the lily pads are, where they there's a really low dissolved oxygen. So what they'll do is they'll actually go up into that area and lay their eggs, so that way no other fish can go in there and eat them. Then that way they have a better chance of survival. Any other questions? All right, thank you. And yeah, you guys can keep the sheets if you want. Or get rid of them.
You better believe that.